If you want to get away from it all and take a long vacation in the mountains with only your bike as a companion, then Lonely Mountains Downhill is perfect. They are not joking how lonely it is. There's not a soul in sight, and I love it. The quiet sounds of nature are barely audible over the growling of your bike tires riding the rough terrain. Listen to this. Lonely Mountains is a game for relaxing. No, wait, it's a game about speeding down the mountain to get a high score. Well, it's about both. With 4 mountains who each have 4 trails and about 30 challenges per mountain, there's a ton of content. Here's a look at the mountains, trails, and some of the challenges. Challenge number 1 for a trail is to explore it with no restrictions. It's a peaceful way to test all the different ways to ride down. Note, the marked trail is not always the fastest way down. After that ride, more challenges unlock that you need to complete before more trails unlock. They separate the challenges into categories: beginner, expert, and free rider. You must complete all the challenges in one category to unlock the next. But that means you'll be riding down the mountain as fast as possible, or trying not to crash, or doing both. I found the beginner challenges easy, and unlocking all the trails went quick. I find it odd that the first task is to explore, since I do that on every run anyway. They split the trails into different sections by checkpoints. So if you're not concerned about crashing, you'll instead explore the area between the checkpoints and find a faster route. The game shows you the best time, so if you're not going faster, reset and try again. It's great that the game gives you a leaderboard ranking for each checkpoint, which makes it easier to know where to make up the time. Keep in mind that crashing is a huge part of the game, and why some challenges are to ride without crashing. I've crashed over 200 times on a trail, slamming into the same tree over and over and over and over, trying to get a good racing line. Really the perfect racing line, honestly. You might cut a turn tight and brush up against a bush. That's a crash. Some of the collisions are frustrating because a flower shouldn't throw you over the handlebars. But most of the crashes are valid because you're trying your damnedest to ride down that trail as fast as possible. Still, expect endless crashes that will become the biggest source of frustration. That said, the game is amazing. I love the quiet time I spend on the mountain, just as much as struggling to go fast. No matter how frustrated I get, the checkpoints are close enough together that I'll ride down eventually. Experimenting and finding new paths is exciting. It's a rush to stumble on a new way to go that cuts 10 seconds off your time. This experimentation is why I can't stop playing Lonely Mountains. It feels like you're cheating when you get a lucky path. Now, the biggest problem is the perspective. They went with a more cinematic camera that follows the path more than the bike, which I'm a fan of since it always looks good. But trees will pass in front of the camera, which will block your view and make you crash. It is annoying when you're trying to take a specific path and a tree will just not let you see the trail. But it does look great and gives the game a unique style. An over-the-shoulder camera is boring compared to this much more cinematic camera. Also, I love the specks of dirt that fly off the back tire. Unlocking the bikes is an ordeal. I don't understand why the game is so stingy. I played through all the trails before unlocking my first bike. You need to complete expert challenges to get enough parts to build a bike. The bikes have different stats, which means one might be better for how you want to ride. Here's the selection of what the bikes look like. It makes little sense to keep the bikes away from the player. Unlocking color palettes, mountains, trails, and getting on the online leaderboards is reward enough. Overall, I loved it. I expect this is what mountain biking is all about. You, the mountain, and a perfect run. Although, I expect less death in real life. Still, it's so much fun to find new paths, and I have no problem crashing hundreds of times to do it. Surprise! Mini review inside another review! When two bikes games are released in 1 year, how can I not compare them? Descenders is very unlike Lonely Mountains, except for the part where they're both about riding bicycles. The game has a more realistic art style with the standard over-the-shoulder camera. They claim you can play any way you want and there are no goals. Yet, gaining a reputation gives you everything. Global reputation unlocks gear so you can change your look. Reputation during a run unlocks crew who provide small bonuses, for example, reducing the curves or giving you more bunny hop power. It's difficult to tell if they're working, especially since all the tracks are randomly generated and allow for multiplayer. How that works would make for an excellent GDC talk. So it's not a race, but your reputation is score, so doing tricks and riding risky is important. This is an example of a set of tracks. They're laid out like nodes, and you need to complete them to get to the boss jump level. My thoughts on Descenders are clouded because I can't complete a run. Your rider only starts with 4 health, and crashing is so easy, especially when you're trying to do tricks or the game forces you to go fast. Controlling the rider at high speeds is difficult. Even trying to ride safe, I still end up crashing a lot. Also, you can't get on the leaderboards unless you finish an entire run straight through. You have to start from the first level of the thing and go all the way to the end, all 4 zones, and it is really hard. I struggle to find a reason to play. The tracks are too risky to enjoy a slow ride and too dangerous when riding fast. Also, the random generation creates bland tracks, and there are few objectives. It becomes repetitive. Overall, Descenders is a fun game, and I get sucked into playing. The game is difficult and hard to put down once you start a run. I am dying to complete a run. Although the infinite amount of tracks is great, they're all too similar, although the 8 different zones help. Also, the licensed soundtrack gets repetitive. Now, if you're only getting one bicycle game, then I recommend Lonely Mountains. I cannot get enough of those cinematic trails. Yet, if tricks are what you want, you gotta pick up Descenders. Both are good games, though. Anyway, that's that, and I'm out. Hey, thanks for watching. Help me out a little bit and subscribe if you liked what you saw.